In a digital era where music is consumed, shared, and remixed at lightning speed across platforms, a seismic legal battle is erupting that could reshape how tech giants handle licensing forever. At the center of the storm is none other than Eminem, the notoriously meticulous rap icon whose lyrical precision is now aimed squarely at one of the most powerful tech companies on Earth, Meta. This week, Eminem's music publisher filed a blockbuster lawsuit accusing Meta, the parent company of Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, of using 243 of his songs without authorization. The suit alleges that these tracks, which span decades of the rapper's chart-topping career, have been used, shared, and distributed across Meta's platforms without any formal licensing agreement, in direct violation of copyright law. And the damages? The publishing company is demanding over $100 million in restitution, arguing that the unauthorized use not only bypassed fair compensation, but also compromised the artist's creative integrity and brand control. The complaint, filed in federal court, outlines how Eminem's music, including cultural staples like Lose Yourself, The Real Slim Shady, and Without Me, has appeared in user-generated content, reels, story ads, and algorithm-curated video compilations across Meta's ecosystem. According to court documents, Meta allegedly failed to obtain licenses through the standard music publishing channels, and continued to allow widespread dissemination of the content even after receiving multiple takedown requests. The suit goes further, stating that Meta profited off the engagement, reach, and viral nature of Eminem's music, while depriving the creators and rights holders of due compensation. For an artist whose reputation has been built on sharp boundaries and strict control over his narrative, this infringement wasn't just a business misstep, it was personal. What makes this case particularly explosive is not just the size of the demand or the celebrity status of the plaintiff, but the precedent it threatens to set. Eminem's legal team is arguing not only that Meta violated copyright law, but that the company knowingly fostered a digital environment where such violations could thrive unchecked. This isn't just about accidental background music or fans sharing songs without permission. It's about systemic usage, algorithm-driven amplification, and a corporate structure that allegedly enabled it all. With over 3 billion users worldwide and massive advertising revenue generated from user engagement, Meta has long been under scrutiny for how it handles intellectual property. But now, it faces a battle with an artist known for never backing down, and for turning every conflict into an opportunity to take the spotlight back. This isn't the first time Eminem has used legal channels to assert control. Over the years, he's clashed with politicians, advertisers, and streaming platforms who used his music without clearance. But this lawsuit signals a new scale of confrontation, one that could have ripple effects across the digital music industry. The timing is also notable, coming amid growing global debates about tech regulation, copyright enforcement, and artist compensation in the streaming age. As the paperwork is filed and legal teams mobilize, fans, industry insiders, and digital creators alike are watching closely. Because if Eminem succeeds in holding Meta accountable, the outcome could force a radical shift in how platforms operate and who really controls the beat behind every scroll. But as the legal machinery grinds into motion, the ripple effects of Eminem's lawsuit are already stirring unease in Silicon Valley and sending tremors through the music and tech industries alike. Meta, a company long criticized for its handling of copyright and user-generated content, finds itself facing a challenge it can't dismiss as a minor glitch or algorithmic oversight. Internally, sources report heightened concern among Meta's legal and compliance departments, as the company prepares to defend not just its practices, but its entire content-sharing framework. While the lawsuit centers on Eminem's catalog, it shines a light on a much broader and murkier problem, one that implicates how platforms rely on automation to handle copyright enforcement, while turning a blind eye to systemic misuse when it serves engagement metrics. For years, Meta has walked a fine line between moderation and monetization. Its algorithms actively promote trending content, videos, reels, and stories boosted by background tracks, emotional soundbites, and viral hooks. But critics say that the very system designed to maximize time on platform has also become a breeding ground for copyright abuse. In Eminem's case, the publisher alleges that Meta failed to respond meaningfully to repeated takedown notices, thereby violating the DMCA's safe harbor protections that require prompt action when infringement is flagged. If proven, this would mean Meta not only facilitated copyright violations, but potentially did so knowingly, an accusation that carries immense legal and financial weight. Meanwhile, the reaction from the artist community has been swift and sharp. Eminem's decision to go after Meta directly has been seen by many as a long overdue power move from one of the few artists with enough clout to take on big tech. Music rights organizations, independent publishers, and legacy artists have publicly voiced support, suggesting that the case could open the floodgates for similar claims. "This isn't just about Eminem," said one anonymous industry executive. "This is about every artist whose work has become a free-for-all on social media." Already, reports suggest that other high-profile musicians are reviewing their licensing agreements with Meta, with some quietly initiating audits to assess how widely their songs have been used without consent. At the same time, Meta faces a reputational dilemma. Publicly, the company has not yet issued a detailed response to the lawsuit, but insiders suggest that its legal team is preparing a multi-pronged defense. Likely strategies include arguing that much of the content in question was uploaded by users independently, and that Meta cannot realistically police every instance of musical usage across billions of uploads. Additionally, the company may lean on its existing partnerships with major labels and music publishers to argue that it has made good faith efforts to license popular music, even if Eminem's catalog, managed separately, wasn't covered under those deals. But these defenses may be hard to sustain under scrutiny, especially if discovery reveals that internal teams were aware of unlicensed usage and failed to act. What's at stake isn't just a $100 million payout, it's the architecture of content sharing on platforms that billions of people use daily. If Meta is forced to overhaul how it licenses, tracks, and moderates music content, it could trigger massive operational shifts, potentially slowing down the viral engine that powers social media. And while Meta prepares for battle, Eminem, as he's done so many times before, stands at the epicenter, ready to dismantle the system with a mic in one hand and a lawsuit in the other. Then, the legal showdown escalated as Eminem's team filed a motion demanding expedited discovery, accusing Meta of deliberately stalling and concealing internal data. The goal? To uncover communications proving the company knowingly allowed widespread, unlicensed distribution of his catalog. News of the motion hit the industry fast, sparking headlines like Slim Shady vs. Silicon Valley and reigniting public debate on creator rights. Eminem's legal team cited specific metametrics showing that his tracks were embedded in millions of short-form videos, content that helped drive engagement and ad revenue, but delivered no royalties to the artist or publisher. According to them, Meta used his music to fuel algorithms, sell ads, and retain users, all while ignoring clear warnings from rights holders. It became clear this wasn't just a battle over money. It was about ownership, control, and respect in a digital world where tech giants often play by their own rules. Eminem wasn't just fighting for himself, he was fighting for the principle that music has value, and that even in a world ruled by algorithms, the artist still matters. Now, as the lawsuit gains national momentum and heads toward what may become a historic courtroom confrontation, the industry is already beginning to shift under the weight of its implications. Meta, now under intense scrutiny, has reportedly launched internal audits of its content systems, revisiting how music is tagged, monetized, and tracked across Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. Sources suggest top executives are holding crisis-level meetings, not only to assess legal exposure in the Eminem case, but to prepare for what could become a flood of similar lawsuits from other publishers, emboldened by the rapper's bold move. Behind the scenes, music rights groups are organizing joint statements and closed-door strategy calls. And while no official settlement has been proposed, the pressure on Meta to resolve the issue without dragging it into a long, public trial is growing by the day. A court battle could expose years of alleged blind spots in how the platform handles intellectual property, something Meta's already fragile public trust can hardly afford. Meanwhile, Eminem has remained publicly quiet but symbolically powerful. His silence is strategic, allowing the legal filings and growing media attention to build the case in the court of public opinion. His publisher continues to release carefully worded updates, framing the lawsuit not as a personal attack, but as a defense of artistic rights in an era where creative ownership is often blurred by digital convenience. In interviews, executives involved in the suit describe this moment as pivotal, not just for Eminem's catalog, but for every independent artist and major label talent whose work circulates through social media without transparency or compensation. This case isn't just about protecting royalties, one legal analyst noted. It's about protecting culture. Across platforms, fans have begun reframing the conversation. While some argue the internet thrives on remix culture and free expression, many others now see how easy it is for massive companies to profit from creative labor without returning value to the originators. Trending discussions on TikTok and Reddit dissect how artists are routinely undercut by platform design. Songs go viral, drive billions of views, and yet the original creators often receive nothing. The Eminem case has turned that frustration into a rallying cry. Hashtags like "What's your respect the artist" and "Pals your music has value" are gaining traction. And creators across disciplines, from illustrators to indie game composers, are citing the lawsuit as inspiration to demand more control over how their work is used. Ultimately, what began as a copyright dispute is becoming a referendum on the future of digital creativity. Will artists be fairly compensated in the age of AI autoplay and infinite scroll? Will tech giants be held accountable for building ecosystems that quietly exploit the very content that powers them? Eminem's lawsuit is not just about past damages. It's about shaping what comes next. It's a bold line drawn in the sand, that even in a world dominated by data and algorithms, the soul of music, and the rights of those who create it, cannot be automated away. Whether this ends in a courtroom or a landmark settlement, one thing is certain. The landscape of content ownership has changed forever, and the echoes of this legal battle will be heard far beyond the final ruling.